Republican presidential candidate, Ron Paul, on the phone. Congressman, you weren't and aren't surprised, but what now?
Well, it looks like we're in for big trouble because we haven't dealt with the problem. You know, I'm surprised it took them so long to downgrade. I didn't think, it should have had that rating for a long, long time. But people are coming to the realities. But, you wonder about S&P because they're usually pretty slow. So I think it's very, very bad. And it's interesting that when we were working on raising the debt limit over my objection, they kept saying, well, if you don't raise the debt limit, we're going to downgrade you. So we raised the debt limit, so they downgrade, which means that the spending is not under control. But the other thing that bothered me is I read where S&P said that one of the reasons they downgraded was that we weren't accepting, tax increases. So there's a lot of confused economic ideas out there, but I think we're in for a lot of trouble, which is what I've been saying for a long time.
The administration is already kind of pointing fingers at S&P that their math is a little specious, and it could be a case of accusing the accused. But what do you make of that?
You mean about the Treasury saying, well, they made a mistake?
Right. In other words, this is kind of S&P's fault.
Well, the Congress is making even bigger mistakes because they keep talking about slashing and cutting and all this, but there have been no suggestions of cutting anything. It's always the cutting from the baseline, which is a steady increase, and finally the people who are looking at the bonds are realizing it. But to me, it's interesting that although they're downrating it, still the world are buying our Treasury bills and our bonds and our interest rates alone.
For now. But Congressman, but right, we got to be careful. We got to be careful. I guess what I'm asking is, we are concerned about the downgrade and whether it's going to cost us more just for people to buy our debt and our notes and our bonds. And you're quite right to point out that people have still been pouncing on our securities as good havens. But how long do you really think that will be the case? And are we really more benefiting because the rest of the world just stinks more than we do?
Yeah, I think though the market is more powerful than the agencies who grade the bonds and even Congress. Economic laws are powerful, which means that if you follow free market economics, interest rates will go up regardless of bond ratings, and this might be just the incentive to start the rates going up again. But there's no way in the world that you can print money endlessly and bail out everybody and spend endlessly and not expect the dollar to be devalued as it is, and it's a worldwide currency, and that's why this is so serious. But under those conditions, you depreciate the currency, interest rates are destined to go up. It's just a matter of time.
All right, when I was in your fine city this past week, and you guys cobbled together this deal of which you were very, very critical, as was your son, the Senator Rand Paul, the issue came up that if you guys were to cut too much, not you and your son, but if you were to cut too much, it would be onerous for the economy at this iffy stage. So is there even going to be an appetite for cutting more spending in this environment?
No, there isn't. There's always a special interest that comes up. If you even suggest freezing the budget, that is considered a cut. Freezing the budget is a cut. And anybody who has their budget frozen yells and screams. Can you imagine what the military-industrial complex would say if you suggested freezing? They're getting a percentage increase, and it's not enough. And that's the way with every entitlement system program there is. So we're locked in on this course, and until we revamp the system entirely, the monetary system, the entitlement notions, the definition of entitlements versus rights, our foreign policy, believe me, within the next year or two, we will be dealing with what kind of country we want in the future and what economic policies we're going to follow.
It's interesting. I guess it's hard to gauge right now, Congressman, but a downgrade could lead to a lot of messier things, but we'll have to watch extremely closely. Congressman, thank you very much. Always good.